folks, if you watch the first part of the video and you fast forward through it, you've seen some of the loads I ran last week. I know I hadn't been on here in about 2 or 3 weeks, but alright, so we run the blacked out picture load. I forgot to take pictures of that load. The 4 galvanized gates up to Manassas. There wasn't much to choose from, so I had to deadhead back to closest load I could find was in Fayetteville, North Carolina. So I deadheaded back to Kenley, stayed at a truck stop. The load wasn't to pick up till 3 o'clock the following day. So I found the tractor in Kenansville, about an hour away. So I went and picked it up, and when I got done with it, I came on back to Fayetteville, and I actually got there like 1 o'clock. So they went ahead and loaded me up, and it was like a government surplus facility, and I was taking it to another one in Augusta. So got on the road, wasn't going to make it in time to drop off in Augusta by 5 o'clock. So we stayed in Aiken and run through that little storm on the way down. Man, it was a nasty storm. I'm talking like 25 miles an hour. It was coming down, but it was pissing cows and chickens and goats and ducks, and But anyway, so we stayed there, dropped off the next morning, and started heading to drop the tractor off in Ocala, Florida. Well, I found 2 partial loads going to Michigan. Do I want to go to Michigan? No. Do I want to make money? Yeah. So I called on both of those and got them both set up. One was in Jacksonville, which I had to go through anyway to get to Ocala, Florida. And the other one was in Albany, which, I was going to have to go through there after dropping off in Ocala to go to. So anyway, so one was a pump. I picked up in Jacksonville, run on down to Ocala and dropped off the tractor. And I was going to have to stay in a truck stop. So we headed on up toward Albany, and right as I was coming out of Jasper, Florida, not Jasper, Georgia, Jasper, Florida, truck starts losing power. So I had to get fuel anyway, and I was a little concerned with it. So I pulled on in there. Let me tell you something, but when you're on the road in a 3/4 ton, 1 ton, Hotshot truck period, I don't care what you got, 5,500, it don't matter. Your options for roadside repair are very limited. I called a lot of places. Mobile repair wasn't in the area or didn't service that area. Most places were closed, or we only work on semis. So honestly, the closest person I could find was in Jacksonville, an hour and a half away. This was about 9:30. So the guy arrives at midnight, spends 2.5 hours on the truck, brings his laptop, his OBD2 scanner, the big job. Can't find anything besides a map sensor. Okay, and I know that's not causing the problem. So I'm like, listen, man, I'm going back to Jacksonville. Do you mind me following you back? Because I've already decided that it's before he arrived that it's best for me to drop the Humvee pickup in Albany and take the pump back to Jacksonville instead of trying to push on, not knowing what the issue is, and end up having a breakdown in Ohio or Indiana or Michigan or whatever. And then I'm hung out up there, same situation, with 2 partials on me that need to be delivered, and 2 pissed off brokers. So it's piss them off now or piss them off later. so it's like, hey man, yeah, we'll just follow you back. So here's the funny part of the story now. You gotta stay tuned for this. Super duper couple. When they say, we'll stick with you, they stuck with me. because I had to go through a scale house on the way back. So I figured, hey, they're just going to go ahead and pass me. They'll pull off and wait on me. No, they pulled in the scale house with me. So I thought, hey, I'll just get the green arrow to bypass. No, they pulled me around to the scale. They go with me. So there's like 4 trucks, and of course this is a scale where you have to pull on stop and wait for the green light. You get the green light, you pull off. It's not a roll-through scale. So I pull up there, and I sit on the scale, and I get a green light, and I drive off. So I just assumed they were going to roll across the scale behind me. I'm getting ready to get on the interstate, and I look back in the rear view, and they're back there waiting on the green light. So it was pretty comical, but they caught back up to me. We run all the way back to Jacksonville. I stayed outside the Beltway there at a TA. Next morning, truck's still running fine. Drove an hour and a half back to Jacksonville, no problem. So I let the truck idle all night, get a shower. I get in bed about 3:15, 3:30, something like that. Get up the next morning, I call the Humvee broker and let him know what's going on. He's like, hey, no problem, don't worry about it. We'll put it back on the board. Hope you get everything fixed. Called the shipper on the Humvee too, because I'd already set up time and I just didn't want to leave him hanging. So he's like, no, hey, appreciate you calling. Hope everything works out. So I wanted to call the broker on the pump before I took the pump back and just showed up. I just want to make sure she was in on the deal and she knew what was going on before I just showed back up. So I called her. She wasn't real happy, but she wasn't, she wasn't mouthy about it, but she understood, but she said, hey, no problem, yeah, just go ahead and take it back, and I'll call for another truck. So when I took the pump back, I went inside and talked to management and let them know what was going on. And they were like, is it the raid? Is it the way we loaded it? What's the problem? I was like, no, it has nothing to do with you at all. It has to do with my equipment. So I just didn't want to get hung out with your load somewhere between here and Michigan and hold up it getting delivered. So they understood 100%. They unloaded it, no problem. So I drive 6.5 hours back to Salisbury. Well, my father-in-law lives in Savannah, so I figure if something happened down there, I can call him or Alex, and they can come pick the truck up. I drive all the way back to Salisbury, no problem. I get 5 miles from the house, coming up Old Concord Road. I pull off from a light, and it starts losing power. So, I changed the filters and stuff, fuel filter, and changed the oil filters. I stay up on top of my stuff pretty good, so I'm not sure what the problem is. So I get it home. It's not like a limp mode deal. It just don't have no throttle response. So I get home, I unload the gooseneck, park it down in the backyard, and my son-in-law follows me over to my diesel mechanic. Yeah, I've known a long time, does great work. So I take it over and drop it off. Sometimes you gotta wait. So I took it over and dropped it off, and on the way over, man, it just run like a scalded dog. Every time I dipped into it, it got on down the road. So I don't know, no check engine lights, no nothing. So I just dropped it off over there. Had to cut the week a little short. I thought it was the best thing to do for the situation I was in. I don't know how big of a black eye it's going to give me. But I won't forget the broker I picked the pump up for. I'll make sure I get back in touch with her on the load and make it up to her. That's the only thing I know to do. Just try to make it right. But so today's Saturday. I hadn't heard anything on the truck because we went on vacation last week. We already had that trip planned. I had to use a buddy of mine's truck to get my camper down there in South Carolina. But it was a good week. We're back. hopefully the truck will be done first of next week. But you know, this is just stuff that's going to happen, guys. If you're going to get into this, you've got to be prepared, you know, for stuff like this. But anyway, I'm gonna jump off here. Try to keep this short. I appreciate y'all staying tuned. The likes, the subscribes. I've been getting a lot of subscriptions here lately. I really appreciate that. Try to bring y'all a little bit more content more often going forward. I know I hadn't been on here in a couple weeks, but I just had a lot going on, and I just figured I just need to go ahead and bite the bullet and let y'all know what was going on and where we stand. So hopefully I'm not off next week. I hope I can get back out on the road. But anyway, stay tuned. I appreciate you. Like, subscribe, share, tell your friends. See what Squirrel's doing. See what predicament Squirrel gets in and how he gets out of them. But anyway, I appreciate you, and we'll see you on the flip side. Later.